Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing today? Happy Monday. I hope you are well and still safe and doing okay today, whatever you've been up to at the weekend. Um, and yeah, I wanted to talk to you today about a simple way to elevate your practice to the next level. Perhaps you're feeling a bit stuck in a rut, perhaps you are feeling like you've hit a plateau, and I'm going to give you a little tweak that you can add to your practice to hopefully help you take it to the next level. We've got some building going on upstairs, so if you hear any thuds or crashes, don't worry, that's all that's going on. Hopefully there's nothing going to be too crazy and noisy. And if you are watching, please do give me a little thumbs up to let me know you're out there, or a little heart to let me know that you are enjoying this video if something's helpful for you. And please feel free to drop any questions in the comments box. And same goes if you're watching on catch up, of course, please do tag me in the comment or question and I will be sure to follow up with you later on. So we're talking about elevating your practice. This is something that I like to talk about a lot because a lot of people that I work with are not only looking to move better and dance better and get stronger and fitter as well, that looking to develop a regular practice and make that practice work really well. So I'm always thinking about ways that I can help them, and I want to help you too. These are just things that I use for myself as well. So what we're going to talk to today about when you've hit a plateau, when you feel like you're not improving anymore, it may be because you are working in your comfort zone and not in your sweet spot. So sweet spot, what is that? I've borrowed the term from Daniel Coyle, who's written some excellent books on the subject. One of them particularly, The Little Book of Talent. Highly recommend picking that one up if you haven't. It's got lots of little tips for practice and developing talent and some really simple ideas that you can put into practice. So it's a really good one to have handy. But when he talks about the sweet spot, well, he talks about your comfort zone, and your comfort zone is when you are comfortable in your practice. It's easy, it's effortless. You might find that perhaps you are not focusing on the practice, your mind's gone off elsewhere, and this might be because whatever you're working on, you can do it so well now. It might be something you've been practicing for a while, so you can do it effortlessly. So your brain's kind of gone onto autopilot. So it does have a habit. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, mine will drift off and start thinking about what's for dinner or something else that might be happening. And that's great. You're kind of reinforcing the movement, but you're not really improving what you're doing. So what he calls the sweet spot is that spot just beyond this, where you are doing the movement, but you're really having to focus in order to get it. Like it's a real challenge to hit the mark, and possibly you might only be hitting the mark, I don't know, 50 to 80% of the time. So what this is doing actually is it's giving you a chance to make mistakes but correct them as you go along. And this is really the key to it, correcting the mistakes as you go along. The brain and the body work really well. So if you imagine, obviously everything that you do is your brain sending a signal to your body, or to the part of the body that it wants to move or wants to do the thing. So the signals transmit better when they are insulated in the nerves with a coat of something called myelin. And every time you do an action, the brain will add some myelin to the pathway, and it makes it insulated, so it makes the it makes the signal travel a lot better. That's a very rough breakdown of the science behind it all. But every time you do something, it's adding myelin to that pathway. So each time you do something correctly, then you are just reinforcing that. But it's adding more myelin when you're just about doing that, the movement just a little bit better than you were previously, if that makes sense. So that's going to help you improve. And the key is, as I've said, to go back and correct any mistakes as you go along. So you're just giving yourself the opportunity to do the correct action over and over again, but to do it better each time. So how can we incorporate this into our movement practice and into our dance practice. So for a movement practice, when I'm talking about that, I'm thinking about something that you might do, like your strength and flexibility practice, maybe your yoga or Pilates or whatever else it is that you do. Most of us are at home at the moment doing our practice. Even if you might go to the gym normally, you're probably at home at the moment. So we can think about slowing things down. This is going to create more time under tension. It's going to give your muscles much more of a challenge, and you might find that you can't do as many repetitions. So I always want to encourage good form. We talk about making mistakes in our practice, but actually when it's something like building strength, you obviously want to make sure that you're keeping correct form the entire time. But you want to push yourself really to the limit. How slow can you go? How many reps can you go at really slow speed and keep the good form going? You may find that you can't do anywhere near as many reps. That's totally normal. But you'll really finding deeper parts of the movement, which will actually really increase the muscle fiber recruitment and make it a lot stronger move. You're going to build a lot more strength. Another way to do this is to perhaps challenge your balance when you're doing the movement. You could, if you're doing something on all fours, perhaps if you take an arm or a leg off, and that's really going to add to the challenge that you're putting on your body, and it's going to help you to increase strength because you're having to work that bit harder. How about your dance practice? When you are dancing, you could think about speeding things up. So if you're comfortable, I'm just going to use the example of doing some hips or 3/4 hips. Perhaps I'm working on my 3/4 at the moment, so that's one that I'm really playing with. And it's a really good idea to set a metronome. So that gives you a real clear indicator of how fast you're going and where you're comfortable. Sorry, this is me doing my 3/4 hips with my hands. So where are you comfortable? Find where you're comfortable. And then you want to push it to a point where actually your 3/4's getting, it's just getting on the verge of being sloppy, but not quite. You want it to be there, you want to be able to achieve it, but only just. And you might find that a couple of times you miss the mark and then you have to stop and go back again and reset and then come back to doing your 3/4. And gradually you'll find you'll be able to do it at the new speed, and then that's when you take it up a notch, of course. Another thing you can do, again with your dance practice, is to slow things down. Sometimes when we're dancing or we're practicing, we've got our speed that we like to go at, but it can be sometimes easy to cut corners if we're going at a certain speed. If you really slow things down, then you can really analyze how you're doing the movement. Are you moving through all of the body parts that you want to move through? Are you moving into your fullest contraction that you can go at that speed, for example? And another thing that you can do is increase complexity. So again, using the example of the 3/4 hips, perhaps you can add an arm on top of that. Can you keep a smooth arm movement going while your hips are nice and staccato? Or perhaps add a challenging cymbal pattern. That's what I'm doing at the moment, is alternating left, right, left cymbals on top of my 3/4 hips. And what about finding some new pathways? So perhaps thinking about what your usual things that you like to do with your body. For example, I don't know, I really like a ribcage circle into an undulation, into a hip circle, into a down to up. So finding something that's a little bit different, perhaps like a shoulder roll followed by a hip drop, or I don't know, different body parts that you don't normally put together. So really challenging your brain to find these new pathways, making good solid connections there by doing the move correctly, really slowing it down if you need to as well. Little anecdote to finish off with. When I first started dancing, my first teacher and my teacher for many years was Hilda Knut. If you don't know her, please look her up. She's Hilda Dancer on Instagram, and her classes, even the beginners classes, I think were a pretty high level. I remember being in class when I was a beginner belly dancer, and she'd teach a combo and I'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. This is too hard. And I always felt like in the moment, like it was too challenging. But we'd come back next week and we'd be doing the same combo again, and all of a sudden I could do it. And this is the same thing. She was pushing us into that sweet spot where it almost feels like you can't do it. You're just really grasping to do it. And then when you come back the next time, it's easy because you've pushed yourself in that way. So that's all for me today. I haven't seen any questions pop up, but I would love to see some thumbs up from people who've been watching if you have enjoyed this video. If you're watching on catch up, as I said, please do pop any questions or comments in the comments box and tag me in them so I can respond as well. And I think that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed that little tidbit from me. I will be back on Thursday with a little dance along video as always, so please do join me for that, and I will see you then. Take care, have a good week. Bye bye.